she had never seen the world. The day she did changed everything. She was 10 months old, and she had never once stepped outside. Not on grass, not in sunlight, not in a yard or down a sidewalk, or anywhere that wasn't the concrete floor of a shelter kennel. Her name was Dolly, and for the first time in her entire life, someone was asking her if she wanted to try. The Maui Humane Society sits on a quiet stretch of road in Puunene, Hawaii. It's a place where animals come after the world has let them down. Strays, surrenders, dogs whose owners couldn't keep them for one reason or another. The staff there have seen thousands of animals pass through. They know the fearful ones on sight, the ones who press themselves into the back of the kennel, the ones whose eyes track your every move, but whose bodies don't follow. Dolly had arrived 2 months before this story starts. Nobody knew exactly what had happened to her in those 10 months of life before the shelter. What they did know was what they saw, a puppy who had no map for the world outside her kennel. To her, that concrete rectangle was the whole universe, and the thought of leaving it, even for something better, was more than she could bear. The staff put her on anti-anxiety medication. They gave her time. They didn't rush her, but every day she sat with that leash on and went nowhere. And every day, someone new arrived, looked at the dog frozen by the door, and kept walking. If you've ever adopted a dog, you know there's a moment, a small one, easy to miss, where they figure out that you're safe, where something shifts in their eyes and they decide, without being able to say why, that maybe this is okay. For Dolly, that moment hadn't come yet, but it was getting closer. A volunteer named Cassandra had been coming to the shelter regularly. She'd worked with scared dogs before. She knew the difference between a dog who wouldn't move and a dog who couldn't. And Dolly, she realized, couldn't. Not yet. So Cassandra did something simple. She sat on the floor, not standing over Dolly, not reaching for her, just down, at her level, letting Dolly look at her and decide. If you feel like this channel is worth your time, hit subscribe. We post new rescue stories 3 times a week, and they're all real, and they're all worth hearing. Dolly didn't come to her right away. She lay flat on the concrete, legs splayed, wearing a leash she'd learned to tolerate even if it didn't mean anything hopeful yet. She looked at Cassandra. She looked at the door. She looked back. Her tail moved, just a little. It took a long time to get Dolly out of that kennel the first day. Not because Cassandra pushed. She never pushed. She sat, and she waited, and she offered a treat held out low where Dolly could stretch her neck toward it without committing to anything. Dolly stretched. She took the treat. Then she lay back down. Then Cassandra held out another treat just a little farther from the kennel door. Dolly stretched again, took it, lay back down. And then, and this is the moment that has made thousands of people stop scrolling and feel something tighten in their chest, Dolly took a step. Not a big one, not confident, not the step of a dog who knows what she's doing. It was the step of a dog who is terrified and doing it anyway. Her paws on the concrete, her whole body low to the ground, her eyes still asking, "Is this okay? Is this safe? Am I allowed to want this?" Cassandra stayed still and nodded and waited. Dolly took another step. There is a patch of grass just outside the kennel door at the Maui Humane Society. It's not anything special, just ordinary grass, the kind you walk across without thinking, the kind dogs dig up and roll in and take completely for granted. Dolly had never stood on it. When her paws finally touched it, when the texture of something real and living and outside pressed up under her feet for the very first time, she stopped. Not frozen in fear this time, something different. She stood very still and looked down, like she was trying to figure out what this thing was, like she was downloading information her whole body had never been given before. Then, slowly, she lowered herself down, lay on the grass, flat on her side, and closed her eyes. The sun was on her, the grass was under her, The world, this enormous, overwhelming, terrifying, beautiful world, was around her for the first time. And for a moment, the dog who couldn't take a single step just rested. That video was posted by Cassandra. It spread the way that certain things spread, not because anyone planned it, but because it hit something true. People watched a trembling puppy take her first steps and felt the weight of every brave thing they'd ever done when they were scared. The comments were full of people who said they cried, people who said they'd seen it 3 times, people who said they're going to the shelter the next day. One comment said, "She's not just learning to walk outside. She's learning that the world doesn't have to hurt." And that is exactly it. Here's what we know about Dolly. The parts that matter.
She is 10 months old. She loves toys. She gets along with every dog she has ever met. She has spent 2 months learning that a leash isn't something to fear, that a volunteer's quiet voice is safe, that grass exists and sunlight is warm, and the world outside a kennel door is not automatically something to run from. She is on anti-anxiety medication. She is a flight risk. If she gets scared and bolts, she can clear a fence. Any family that takes her home will need to do so with a tracking collar and a lot of patience. But she took those steps. She lay in that grass. And somewhere in there, the dog who had never once set foot in the world started to understand that the world might have something good in it. That's what they don't tell you about animals like Dolly. The rescue is the easy part. Anyone can sign the paperwork. Anyone can open a kennel door. The hard part, the real rescue, is what comes after. The 100 small moments where you sit on the floor instead of standing over them, where you hold the treat a little farther out and let them decide, where you don't push, don't rush, don't need it to go faster than it can go. The hard part is earning trust from something that has every reason not to give it. And if you've ever done that, with an animal, with a person, with anyone who's been hurt, you know it's one of the most extraordinary things in the world. Dolly is still at the Maui Humane Society as this story is being told. She is still waiting. She has made progress that her first day self couldn't have imagined. She's taken walks now, more than one. She's sat in the sun more times than we can count. She's figured out that treats come from safe hands, and that sometimes the world outside is exactly as good as it looked from the doorway. She needs a family, a patient one, someone who will sit on the floor. If you're in Maui or know someone who is, the Maui Humane Society is where she is. Their staff will tell you everything. They'll make sure you're the right match. And if you're not in Hawaii, you still have something you can do. Share this. Put it somewhere someone might see it. Because the right person for Dolly might not have heard of her yet, but they're out there, and when they see her video, they'll know. Before you go, if this story meant something to you, subscribe. We put up stories like this 3 times a week. Real animals, real rescues, real moments that remind you what ordinary people and ordinary dogs are capable of when they're given the chance. And ring the notification bell, because the next one might be the one you didn't know you needed. Dolly took her first steps in the world this week. Somewhere, the person she's been waiting for is still out there. Here's hoping they find each other. This video was created with AI assistance, including AI-generated narration, visuals, and script. Disclosure filed per YouTube policy.